Oh, hi guys! If you have ever been in Ukraine before the full-scale invasion and even maybe study Ukrainian language just to explore our culture and talk with locals, you may probably heard that most of the people in central part and eastern part are speaking Russian language. Not because we are lazy or not because we are considering Russian language to be the superior language or we just arrogant, but maybe the reason is Russification and colonization process on Ukrainian land from the side of Russia Federation. It has been happening for years, long 400 years, and now I will explain you why. Russians were always spreading propaganda that they are protecting Russian-speaking population and that Russian language was oppressed on Ukrainian territory. Spoiler, I have been speaking Russian language for 32 years of my life and no one never ever oppressed me. And when I met my friend Julia during my recent visit to Kamensk on east of Ukraine, I remember the times we were speaking in Russian, but now she also voluntarily switched to Ukrainian. But I want to spend 1 minute of your precious time and dig into the history. Why the heck Russian language was so widespread around Ukrainian territories? The policy of Russia about destroying Ukrainian language on our territory is called linguicide. And you know that Peter I, the great Tsar of Russian Empire, was pretty successful in linguicide. He put the censorship on all Ukrainian literature at that time. Peter I also issued the bill or ukaz in Russian language, where he named and stated Ukrainian language as dialect of Russian language. But it was not true, because at this time Ukrainians already had Пересопницьке Евангелие. This is sacred and religious treasure that was written in 1556 in Old Ukrainian language and actually the monument of religious and culture of Ukraine. And now all the elected presidents are putting the hands on Constitution and Пересопницьке Евангелие simultaneously during the inauguration. So if we had this book in Old Ukrainian language, how Ukrainian language could be a dialect of the Russian language? Peter's first policy was successfully continued by the Catherine II, the Russian emperor. She issued the secret ukaz, secret bill, where she wanted to Russify Ukraine, Baltic countries and Finland. This was very surprising for me because this woman actually was German and had zero Russian roots. And she was so eager to Russify everyone around her. In 1763, this woman issued another bill, ukaz, that prohibited teaching in Ukrainian language in Kievan-Mohyla Academy that was founded, if I'm not mistaken, in 1632, the oldest academy in Ukraine. Russians has no such academy at that time, but it's okay. And in 1775, Catherine II cancelled Zaporizhia siege. And in the beginning of 19th century, another Russian emperor, issued the bill in 1804, which is prohibited to establish Ukrainian school. And furthermore, in 1863, if I'm not mistaken, yes, it was Valuyev Circular that prohibited published books on Ukrainian, educational books, religious books and cultural books in Ukraine. Only Russian books. And finally, in May 1867, Emperor Alexander II issued secret Emsky decree that prohibited to import books in Ukrainian language in Russian Empire. So, no publishing Ukrainian books, no importing Ukrainian books. How Ukrainian language could survive in such circumstances? And only after the fall of Russian Empire, on Ukrainian land there were the processes of Ukrainization. It was in 70/19 year of 20th century. But after, big evil called Bolsheviks has happened. But before telling you the details of the Soviet horror, of their policy towards Ukrainian language and Ukrainization, I would like to ask you, you have maybe already heard popular Russian narrative about protecting Russian-speaking people and ethnical Russians that are living on Ukrainian territory. That they have started this full-scale invasion because they want to protect Russian people of Donbass and Luhansk region. So from where these ethnical Russian people came to Ukrainian land? This is the question, and I can answer. So when Soviets took power on Ukrainian territory in 1920s, they of course sent away the intelligence and killed all the opposition. So the intelligence was the keeper of Ukrainian culture. When they finished with the intelligence, they started the policy of displacement of Ukrainian village farmers. They called them kulaks. And this policy was called dekulakization, something like this. So, as you know, people in the villages were the keeper of Ukrainian identity and traditions. So after Soviets took over the western part of Ukraine in the end of 1930s, they started Operation West, as they call it. Overnight, they deported and displaced 100,000 people from West Ukraine to the east of Russia. They just want to oppress the opposition and UPA and Ukrainian nationalist movement. So they just deported the members of Ukraine nationalist movement and all their families. Where? To Siberia, to Republic of Komi, to work in labor camps of Stalin. Before we continue, guys, if you want to support Jane as a content creator and help her to donate more to Pan Sternenko on FPV drones, well, it was weird to talk about myself as she, First, thank you. I appreciate you very much, and second, please proceed to description of this video and find the link to my Buy Me a Coffee page. I also recently visited the local fair in Lviv and spent some of your donations to support local brands and small businesses. I bought a good tea made from dehydrated fruits alone and no leaves. If you are looking for videos about local craft, food and art of Lviv, please tell me in the comments below and I will do more video about this topic, guys. I'm always, every month, sending personal vlog to Buy Me Coffee supporters just to say thank you and how much I love you and appreciate you. So after all this deportation, please remember about huge overnight deportation of Crimean Tatars. Overnight. So after all this, all villages, all houses, streets were completely empty because there is no people. All people are in the Solovki Islands, working for Stalin. So, Soviet regime decided to fulfill and pull a lot of Russians from depressive region, like they are doing now with Mariupol. Ukrainians are gone, and then after, in the empty apartments, they settle Russian people. So they did it before, in the past. They put a lot of Russians on Western Ukraine, and Russian language began to spread. And after war, Russification process were ongoing. After the war, a lot of documents and passport IDs were destroyed, completely burned or just vanished. And Ukrainian people also were in need in new documents. So Russian passport services who were issued these all new documents changed their surname, last names of Ukrainian to the Russian one. They were changing even endings. For example, you was offspring of Cossacks and have a surname Lopata. This actually Ukrainian surname, Lopata. They overdone this surname as Lopatin. In order to get a job, or get a diploma, or finish school, all Soviet people should know Russian language. It was mandatory. People could only speak Ukrainian inside of their own families or in the villages, because in the city it was all Russian. And of course, guys, years have passed, and already in 70s or 80s years of 20th century, a lot of Ukrainian people, young people or middle-aged people were speaking voluntarily Russian language. Because if you was born and was raised in Soviet ideology and in Soviet environment, what language can you speak? What language can you choose? But now in independent Ukraine, young people can choose what language they can speak, and if they want to continue to learn about Ukrainian culture and history and have a separate independent opinion about it. In Soviet Union, people unfortunately had no such freedom. Guys, I hope you like such explanatory videos that bring some tiny insight. Of course, some of you are self-educated and maybe you have already know it. But if I change the mind at least of one person, it means that this video was successful. Do not listen and do not be tricked by Russian propaganda. Now you know how Russian language was spread around Ukraine. If you like this video, please put thumbs up to it and share it across the social media, especially in Facebook, because I have no account in Facebook, guys. Guys, please tell me if you're willing to see more vlogs about regular Ukrainian life on this channel, or you're willing to see more deep dive of explanatory videos, and I will proceed with the content. Guys, hope we debunked at least one propaganda myth today, and hope you like my patriotic earrings. Thank you guys, and see you soon in the next video.